Hello, it's June 2022, and this video is somewhat inspired by a video that I had watched, and I've seen several videos about this particular story. And I've talked about this topic over the years and even recently, but from a different perspective. Now, this video that I'm inspired by has to do with an individual who was arrested for a murder. Now, apparently, his cell phone was stolen, and whoever stole the cell phone committed this crime. So they pinged his phone to be at that location when that happened. However, as the story unfolds, his vehicle was seen going through an intersection through police cameras somewhere else. So the guy got off. He got lucky. Now, this really has to do with circumstantial evidence. And I remember a professor once telling me that everything before the court is circumstantial and pretty much hearsay. Now that can be expanded on, so before anyone starts going crazy with the comments, I'm just generalizing here. Now my point with all this is how police investigations, and this is not a diss towards them or investigating anything legitimately, but what happens is when an individual is being investigated, and a lot of times people don't even realize they're being investigated for something. And actually, in my case, I have two stories to that, which I've recently shared again. It shows up on the police computer database in Canada. It's called CPIC. And I've talked about and even shown how there's been issues for decades now with CPIC. And there's a lot of misuse of it, a lot of false information, misinformation, and moreover, misinterpretation of information. And I do have a story about that as well. But what happens is when someone is investigated, like for example with this guy, it's going to be showing up regardless if he dismissed the charges or whatever, but it's going to show up. People don't realize, even when they call the police and give them their name and date of birth, they're being entered into the system. So there's a record of this, and it can have devastating effects. Even when people don't call the police, there's just an investigation behind the scenes. The person doesn't even know. It has serious repercussions. And there's been many newspaper articles talking about how people haven't got jobs and had no idea why. And then somehow later they find out that some neighbor had called on them and there was an investigation of some sort, and this shows up when we have criminal record checks. And we also have, as I said, misinformation, wrong information, and then never mind having wrongful convictions listed on that. Now here's the problem. Not only does it affect trying to find work, but it also affects how other police officers elsewhere will interact with you. They'll look you up and they'll say, oh, and they go into speaking with you with preconceived ideas. And no matter what you say or do, they could deem it as, oh, well, this person's being aggressive or whatever. Or they're just, and a lot of times police will put something on CPIC just because they had a bad interaction with you. Maybe they had a bad day, maybe you had a bad day, maybe both of you had a bad day. Something gets entered, and then it becomes like a social media thing, and then it just snowballs from there. And this is a big problem with these computer databases that the police have. And this is nothing to do with the police, except for the ones who misuse it. And there's also cases where they're using it to vet somebody that they're interested in, for example, dating, or a family member or something. But that's a different tangent. So this, having things posted on CPIC, this private social media as a descriptive, has serious consequences. Now we have police saying to people constantly in mainstream media, be careful of what you post in social media because it could have serious consequences. And there was that story of the homeless boy and his dog. And when I actually looked him up, after I sent him on his way, I helped him the best that I could. I looked him up, and there was something really interesting about his story. And he was, or is, from Ontario. Hopefully you made it back, dude, if you're watching. And there was a store, I guess, in his neighborhood where he was living at the time, and the store owner refused to sell underage girls cigarettes. So these girls posted on social media that they witnessed with their own eyes how this store owner has a dog and he beats and abuses and tortures this dog, and they've seen it, and how this homeless young man fits into all this. He happened to be at the store when a mob came to do social justice on the store owner, literally. Like, they did damage to the store. They were going after him, thinking, you know, this is what they're doing is the right thing. And that young guy that I helped actually helped that store owner. It's an amazing story. And if I can remember his name, I'll find that article and show it to you. But there's an example of, be careful what you post on social media. In that article that I'm talking about, the police actually stressed, be careful what you put on social media, because the allegations were untrue. And as it turned out through their investigation, these young girls were upset because the store owner wouldn't sell them cigarettes. So whether it be on social media or police computer databases or government databases of any kind, or healthcare databases, like, for example, I don't know, I'm thinking Alberta Health Services and whatever's written about me, it's just become a social media platform for people within, a private one that none of us have access to from the outside, and they say whatever they want, and that causes a chain reaction of events, how people are treated or mistreated. So when somebody's being investigated and they get off, or you get off a charge, it still shows up for the rest of their life. Every time you call the police, even on a neighbor, or you witness, you're into the system. And if somebody, for example, calls on you, there's an investigation, whether you know it or not, that's on the system. But then say there's somebody else gets mad at you and they call the police, make something up. Well, now there's a pattern, and they're going, well, maybe there's something to all this. And then it just goes right off the rails from there. So I just really wanted to bring awareness to these investigations and people being charged, and whether the charges are dropped or whatever. And then a lot of times people within the system, they think, oh, they got lucky, they got up, we're going to get them. And well, things just go out of hand from there. And it's going to finalize by highlighting how there's the social implications, where people think that when somebody's convicted in court, that they must be guilty, or must be guilty of something. And I've said repeatedly, not everyone convicted is guilty. And most people, in fact, are actually innocent, but that's a different topic. So there's a lot of social stigma to that, or even being investigated, and people will gossip and say that it leaks out, that person got investigated, he or she's but they'll see, well, they're guilty of something. Well, a big part of this overall in society is the human species. People are stupid, but again, that's a different topic. I just wanted to bring awareness to this and take what you will from this. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share.
Listen to this and write it down if you can't remember it. You're never going to outgrow warfare. You simply must learn to fight. I hear people saying to me, oh, when is it going to get easier? When you die.